Go for it.
Let's go. We're going for it. We're gonna run that intro in 3, 2, 1. Bumper. Well, now take 2. Here we go. Better audio settings. We're live. It's Matt and Matt.
GameThinkTalk
here. Blaze Edge is here. The cat is here. Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I liked it because, like I was saying, I was using the Hunter class, and I found that with the original Destiny, I like to get up close and personal, you know, risky business, shotguns and attacking, but I found Destiny didn't really reward that kind of play. Destiny was more like, nah, you want to hide, you want to snipe bosses, you want to...
Well, you got to play as the Warlock class, my guy. There's I'll get into the Devour thing, but your play style is exactly why my Warlock subclass works so well.
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
Well, there's, you know, you have your main 3 classes like you did in Destiny 1. Destiny 2 is a lot of what Destiny 1 should have been. It's just much bigger, much prettier. The graphical intensity is crazy. But yeah, you have Warlock, Hunter, Titan. Each class has kind of a subclass. So your abilities that you do, those change. There's one called the Void Walker for the Warlock. And you have this melee ability that if you kill an enemy with a melee, you get something called Devour. And Devour runs for 10 seconds. And every time you kill an enemy while you're in Devour mode, you get health back.
Oh,
and then there's also an ability you get for every kill. It extends your Devour.
Oh,
so what you do is and there's also a thing called the Healing Rift. So what you do is you jump into the center of everybody, throw down your Healing Rift, and then you melee these little add-ons that come at you, and then you just shoot everybody. And anytime you need health back, you just press the right bumper because melee is super overpowered. But yeah, there's a lot of different intricacies in Destiny 2 that Destiny 1 I didn't really feel came out like that. But yeah, Destiny 2 is awesome. You said the beta?
I mean, they had so much time to... it seems like they just really knew what they were doing. They had like the development for the first Destiny is a pretty good story. It was like really tortured development, and you can see that when it came out, they didn't really nail a lot of things that they were promising. They basically Peter Molyneux'd it. They're like, oh, it's gonna... The thing about... They were trying to sell you on this dream that people are going to say...
10-year game.
10-year game, and also like, oh, people are going to say, where'd you find that gun? And you were going to tell this great story about it. And it's like, that's not really how it is. There's only so many guns. Everybody has everything. They didn't think about, I mean, I don't know how, they didn't think that on the internet, everything gets done. The internet is like chaos theory. Everything that can be done has already been done by a 14-year-old kid. Well,
and also the whole idea of like, hey, where'd you get that gun? Like, that's not even a thing in Borderlands. And Borderlands has more guns than anyone could ever count. Like, I think Destiny, what they did with Destiny 2 is they realized what worked in Destiny 1. They upped the ante a lot of ways. I'm not going to get into any story spoiler territory, but it starts off well enough. It's even decent for if you've never played Destiny 1, you can follow the story. It just feels like the ending is a little bit rushed. It kind of falls off. It's one of those things that's very pretty. It's very set piece oriented, and it's good. It's entertaining, but the story is kind of like a background thing. But what I will say is that you can definitely attach yourself to characters, and anything you played in the beta, and I'm sure you can echo the sentiment as well. There's more story in the beta content than there was in Destiny 1, and that, like, you play 10 minutes of Destiny 2 and you already have more story than the first game entirely.
So pretty I mean, generic type villain, but compelling enough. He seems kind of Destiny. I like that they mix that sort of slight light horror along with the adventure of it.
2 doesn't really have that. It's more like they really embrace the whole sci-fi. And the one thing I'll say about Destiny 2, and I'll bring it up in my review, which will be coming out soon, there's a certain sense of scope, especially towards late-end content for the campaign, that you really don't see in first-person shooters. A definite representation of size that it is really... I can understand why this game won't run at 60 FPS locked on like Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. It's just crazy intensive. You need the draw distance for some of these crazy things. But yeah, for the $60 purchase, Destiny 2, you have like a 10-hour campaign, then you have the strikes. There's the raid is coming out on Tuesday. That's kind of why I'm holding off on giving a scored review, because we're having a raid, you know, a week after launch. A lot of people are still the same complaints. You know, there's not a bunch of content. You know, people finding exotics very quickly. Some people are upset about shaders being one-time use, but it's still the Halo people make good gunplay, guys. You can't argue that. You really can't.
I like the style of Destiny gunplay because it's a little bit slower paced. It's to me, this game just when I think about the value, I'm not a big like post game content guy that's going to be going crazy for Glimmer and all this stuff and min maxing. I don't really care. I like to.
Yeah.
What all I want is the Halo experience. I want to be able to run through a campaign or campaign type missions with some friends. And Destiny does that in more of a relaxed way. It's not super twitchy, and it's you know, you're rezzing each other, and it's not super competitive unless you go to the Crucible, and then you can be super competitive. But for me, it's if you've got a 10-hour campaign and then some multiplayer stuff, and you get to play with your friends, and that's worth the full price for me.
What I would say is Destiny 2 is what everyone wanted from Destiny 1 story-wise. I will also say that it is a better Halo game than Halo 4 was. As far as playing this game, you want to play with friends. I played most of it single player. You completely can play that. It's totally viable. I did most of it under leveled actually when it was allowed. So it's not like super, super tough, but it's a better experience with friends that you can play a little bit quicker too. I feel like the game is more built for that 3-person team kind of thing. But yeah, if you're just looking for a cool sci-fi shooter and you want that Bungie itch that we haven't gotten since like Halo Reach, but Destiny 2 does it, and it does it very prettily too. That's not a word, but it's very pretty, guys.
There you go. Well, you know what Shakespeare said when they said that wasn't a word? He said, "I just made it a word."
I just made it a word,
like the word eyeball.
GameThinkTalk.
That's right. And all right, well, so I guess we'll look forward to hearing more from you on that once you try out the raid and some other stuff. How about
I think Destiny 2 is going to be one of those things that it's just like the first one. The base game of Destiny 2 is better than Destiny 1 was, but I think if you're buying Destiny, you should be in it for the long haul. You see a lot of these DLCs, a lot of this thing. I think a lot of the thing that makes Destiny great and what will make Destiny 2 great is the community that builds around it and the stories you'll find within all the strikes and playing the stuff with your friends. So yeah, a lot more to come on Destiny. But as of right now, like if you like Destiny 1, go buy Destiny 2. It's one of the best shooters of the year, bar none. It's not even an argument.
How about on the completely opposite end of the scale, Life is Strange number 2.
Yeah, Before the Storm.
Before the Storm.
So Matt, did you play the entirety of Life is Strange, the first season?
Yeah, I thought it was a little consistent, but it had some huge moments that I would say are make it worth playing.
So here's what I won't say. I won't say any spoilers about Life is Strange because my girlfriend's in the room and she hasn't beaten it and I want her to play it. Yeah. And also, if you haven't played it and you're in chat, I don't want to spoil anything. But Life is Strange is kind of like a Telltale game. You make dialogue decisions, more adventure. But it's kind of this weird, trippy thing. You follow this girl named Max. She's at this art academy. And you deal with the kind of weird coming-of-age storytelling with this added murder mystery. Before the Storm, which is the new 3-part series, the original Life is Strange was like a 5-part or 5-episode season, if you will. Yeah. This one's 3 parts, but it takes place before the events of Life is Strange and follows the secondary best friend character, Chloe. It's good, but what I will say is Life is Strange 1 it was more than just a Telltale narrative game because there were, without spoiling anything, these puzzle kind of mechanics based around a specific mechanic that the main character had.
Look at you dancing totally around spoilers.
Well, because it's very, very interesting. And if you don't know about Life is Strange, it's a very cool mechanic and it very much defines the game. Before the Storm doesn't have any of that. So it very much feels more like a passive narrative experience. What it does do is I said this in my review and you can look it up on a90skid.com. I believe I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. That it takes the mysterious and kind of creepy aspects from the first one and it substitutes it with like Americana, like the feeling of being young, the long open road. You see a lot of nature. It's a very pretty game. Some of the stuff from the first one, I'm sure, Matt, like one of your biggest issues was the faux teen talk, right?
Oh, the teenager talk that definitely felt like it was written by 45-year-old French guys.
Yeah, exactly. That stuff is still in it. And the beginning of episode 1 of Before the Storm, it's very heavy on that. Chloe's going to this concert and she's acting all tough. And that's actually the new gameplay thing they've shoot in is it's like there's back talk challenges. So you kind of have these back and forths between people. Okay. And it sounds interesting and it is interesting sometimes, but that's where the shoddy, I'm 40 years old and I'm going to write what I think an angsty 15-year-old would say. Yeah. But when they're not trying to do that, some of these interpersonal moments and you hear Chloe's overall narration in her head as you play through the episode, it's really well done. And I think if you're looking for an emotional story that is it's kind of depressing, guys, but I think it accurately represents teen life in middle America and like the kind of feelings that come with it. It's a very modern story, so if you're looking for something like that and something not as fantastical as the first one, like definitely give it a look.
How far along
maybe,
is that one now? Is it just the first episode's out?
Yeah, it's the first episode, and then I think episodes 2 and 3 are going to be coming out at the same time. I don't think this is going to be one that takes until next year. This is a pretty one and done sort of ordeal. I think they're going to put these next few episodes out quickly, and it should be wrapped up. But if anything, Life is Strange season 1, the first Life is Strange, is definitely crazy. There's some crazy trippy parts. Yeah. It's an experience.
Some of the endings too. I mean, episode 2 is a great ending. Episode 3 and 4, there are some pretty spellbinding moments in there, where they actually make good on making choices and ask some pretty tough questions from you and your character. I think I teared up in a few moments too as well. So definitely, definitely worth the play. The first season.
It's definitely one of those things that they throw curveballs at you, and without spoiling it and without you knowing what the character mechanic is, you have to trust us on this. They go to some pretty weird places, and it's more, like you said, it's surprisingly emotional. Things that you find yourself getting attached to that you would never get attached to in another kind of narrative context.
You know what I think what the first Life is Strange does really well is there are a few moments where it just hangs on a musical number. It'll play a song in its entirety. And maybe and characters just sitting and not really doing anything, and it's super compelling, and it's kind of just a moment that needs to happen. It's a moment that happens in real life. You don't just talk all the time. There's these moments of silence, and I don't think I've ever seen that in a game, and it's probably one of the only ones, at least, that has stuck with me, that's done it, and deserves to be praised.
I think the thing about Life Before the Storm, the reason it was so evocative of those, like I said, the feelings of Americana, all the nature, I don't know, it's a very comfortable feeling and atmosphere they create, but it's because of the score is so, it's haunting in a way. It's very slow, acoustic guitars, plucking of strings, very atmospheric. And to that point, Destiny 2, in fact, I don't know how much of the beginning, I'm pretty sure they didn't have the whole first mission as the beta, because that mission's pretty lengthy and there's definitely some crazy spoiler stuff in it. But the beginning of Destiny 2 shows off that the music in that game is stellar. So as far as music in games for the past few months it's been crazy good. But Life is Strange is definitely one of the ones that does that too.
We had a question from Corey Lavoie about Destiny. Says he's never played any Destiny game, but he heard the first one ran dry of content very quickly. For the veterans of the game, based off what you've seen, do you think the second one will suffer the same fate?
Destiny 1, when it launched, vanilla Destiny, it was very content dry. You'd had like maybe 6-hour story and then 3 or 4 strikes you'd replay over and over. Destiny 2, they've really fleshed out. It takes place on multiple worlds, and each of those worlds now kind of has its own map, and then there's side quests you can do in there. And then in each of the worlds, there's also things called patrols, which are just kind of like random things that will pop up. There's a multitude of strikes. I think there's 4 right now. The raid, in the first Destiny, it took them like months to release the raid. The raid is coming, and that's like a 8 to 10 man thing. That's coming this week. The story is about twice as long. I think as far as Destiny having enough content to please its fans, I know people who have already reached the level cap. I have already reached the level cap. I know people who have run it dry. But if you're a person who just plays, 4 or 5 hours every night, they're going to release enough content where I'm sure you'll find yourself happy. And beyond that, there's so many games coming out this year that if you need to take a break or if content runs dry, this specific instance, you can probably find something else to play. But in terms of content, Destiny 2 has way more than Destiny 1. So don't worry about that. It might be a little bit dry in the beginning, but if you want to really ensure that you're going to have a lot of content, wait like 2 months and then buy it, and you'll be good.
All right. And big exciting news. Rockstar re-releasing LA Noire, a big game. A game that I feel like...
I hold it near and dear.
Yeah, for some people, really love it. And I think others... maybe they were expecting something a little bit differently, something a little bit more open world, something a little more sandboxy. I mean, it was a really cutting edge game at the time with the facial technology, facial capture work, and how it actually clues into it. It's had a really interesting gameplay loop. What it asked you to do is, I always love when games don't just, because I find with a lot of modern games, especially from the PS3 era on, you might call it the 360 era because you had that podcast on.
Well, hey,
games became, and this was like a natural modernization, is that they streamlined quests, everything auto saved. You had quest markers, map markers, and you kind of ran into a danger of just looking at a mini map and walking towards things. And I felt like with LA Noire,
point to point.
Yeah, very point to point. But what I liked about LA Noire is that it really forced you to look at the screen and take in as much visual information as possible. Get your clues from there.
That was the gameplay hook.
That was the whole gameplay. Forced to do it. Yeah, it wasn't just like okay, Mass Effect, you can choose how you react to things, but if you are trying to get either like a Paragon or a Renegade, you really just have to pick one way or the other. You would be stupid to actually roleplay, where this one just forces you to pay attention to the game. And that's what I loved about the original LA Noire.
I think that's the thing is, and we're going to have to wrap up here soon because Rick and Morty, and I love Rick and Morty, but LA Noire, it's not one of those games that you can brute force the narrative content, because the narrative content is the gameplay. Yeah. It's not also one of those things you can min-max. Like you can't just be like, I'm gonna smash all these buttons and like just get through the stuff. It's one of those games you have to look at the reactions of people, because that's the whole thing. It's really, you're being a detective, you're investigating these crimes, and you have to really observe the surroundings and the crimes and all that stuff and take it in. Yeah, there's like some little missions that you run into while you're driving around, but as far as I played, LA Noire, it's more of not a visual novel, but it's a lot of like you said, dialogue scenes, and it's more of a narrative experience. And people were expecting a Grand Theft Auto because it had the Rockstar name on it. So
and it was driving around in a big city, which we really didn't. That was almost like the worst part of the game, was the driving.
Yeah, you drive like 50 miles an hour or something,
and it's like, you have to obey the law because you're a cop.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is terrible.
But the reason we bring it up is, it's coming out on Xbox One, PS4, Nintendo Switch, which will have rumble features and touch controls. And they're also releasing a VR version of the select cases called the VR Files, and that's for the HTC Vive. I'm just super excited for it. November 14th. I think it's going to be 50, 40, 60. I don't fucking know.
The re-release?
Yeah, I know it's going to be more expensive on the Switch because
it's
the 32 gigabyte hard drive.
Yeah.
Because
it's
I feel like Rockstar would do 60. I feel like Rockstar would force a $60 because they did that for GTA as well. Yeah.
I think it's going to be. I think it's actually 40 and then 50 on the Switch.
Okay, I take that too. I mean, I would prefer that.
Yeah, but, I mean, because they're going to have some enhanced visuals. They're going to include all the DLC, but it's a very, very old game, and they're not remaking it from the ground up. It's basically a port.
Well, I mean, but if you're Bethesda, that's a joke. Bethesda released.
Why was Skyrim?
Well, it's Skyrim Special Edition, $60, and $60 every time they re-release it, and it's actually.
But that might have been. Did they redo that from the? No, they wouldn't have, because it was from that era where you still had HD visuals. They just had to uncompress everything.
Yeah, they changed a few textures, but that's also 2011.
Well, a lot of textures. It's a big game.
Oh yeah.
All right, LA Noire, come on. Okay, you got to head out of here. Dreamcast. Happy birthday, Dreamcast! Fun. How did your Dreamcast stream go?
It was good, man. We played a few different games, because last year we did a whole entire weekend of Dreamcast. This year we only did like a 12. Well, it was more like a 16-hour stream. We played a lot of the lesser knowns, like Choo Choo Rocket and stuff like that. We played plenty of 2D fighters. Power Stone 1. We played Power Stone 2.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We played Alpha Strike. There's some weird stuff like KO Kangaroo. There was also weird Japanese platformer. At one point late at night, we actually used the emulator, because I had emulator discs, and we played Streets of Rage for the Genesis on the Dreamcast as like a double Inception celebration. Yeah, it's a good time.
The Dreamcast is one of those systems, I think, that proves that a system can be a financial failure and still be a great console and still have a great library of games and still be very worth buying.
I mean, it's the year. Let me check. 2017. The 17 years after, 18 years after the systems come out. I have a collection of discs, because all I do is I open the thing on my Dreamcast, and I take this disc that has SNES written on it, and I put it in, and I press start on the Dreamcast, right? And then I just have every SNES game, and it's literally just a CD. The Dreamcast was so open and so available to things like that it's such a useful tool for hooking up directly to an HDTV. Like, why wouldn't you use that? So if you didn't know about that, like, go buy a Dreamcast.
Yeah, you can burn anything onto that. There's no check at all.
Educational information only. You can burn Dreamcast games to normal CDs, like the ones you can buy for 4 cents, and put them in. They'll work. But it's educational only. I don't advocate the use of that. But yeah, that's what you can do with the Dreamcast
games. Virtua Tennis.
Yeah,
was an amazing.
Sonic Adventure, Jet Set Radio, Jet Grind Radio.
Yeah. Depending on what region you're in,
yeah, true. Power Stone though, man. Power Stone,
very, very good.
MVC2. Yeah.
I loved MVC2
Soul Calibur.
So good, because they just weren't, because the other consoles went so far into the 3D direction that Sega was sticking strong, and those games are so beautiful. That was sort of the last gasp of all that gorgeous hand-drawn 2D art as well.
It's one of those systems that it's you play it and you grab the controller, and especially when I was playing a game like Marvel vs. Capcom or Street Fighter, it's kind of weird, like it's bulky. But after you play with the Dreamcast controller for like 15-20 minutes, you're immediately like, oh snap, this still holds up. Like I'm still having fun playing this game, and it's 18 years later. Not to say that most retro games don't hold up, but very often with systems in general, we have rose-tinted goggles, and we go back and play, and you're like, oh, I didn't remember this whole issue. But Dreamcast, it works.
It works really well. And they it was kind of the last time that a console came out, besides what Nintendo does, I guess, and was doing kind of its own thing as well. So definitely the last one, because Nintendo is a great example of doing that.
Plus, there was the whole online thing and the media playing.
The Dreamcast, the big problem with it was that it was a classic example of going to technology too soon. Technology is always available, but when you want to mainstream it and sell it to a lot of people, you can't have. That's why like a PS4 and an Xbox are never going to have the absolute cutting edge technology.
That's why the PlayStation 2 won. They became the DVD player at the correct time, and Sega they did it at the wrong time, and it cost them the whole entire hardware market.
Yeah, Dreamcast's big thing was, well, we'll do online play, but it's dial-up. So who wants to play football dial-up internet? It's going to be stuttering all over the place. But, there's other things like Phantasy Star Online was big for some people. Like, some people love that game. A lot of great memories with it. But that's going to be it for this episode of Game Think Talk Live. And we will be back.
Do we have any questions? I mean, we're already 5 minutes deep into the thing. I'll probably just rewind my show. Did we have any questions to answer?
No, we didn't, actually. Corey said that it was stuttering a little bit, and that was it. So
sorry, guys.
There are no more questions, but...
the questions were questioned and answered.
That's it. We'll get more of a consistent schedule with this show. Looking for Tuesdays and Thursdays. Once we hammer that down, we'll be passing that on to you. And you can plan for it, and we'll have some more topics coming up. We'll be letting you know. Thanks, everybody. You can find all our stuff at a90skid.com. Reviews, news, opinions, all that kind of
movie stuff, wrestling stuff. There's so many things, guys. The90skid.com. If you watch the YouTube channel and you don't visit, that's not like your homepage. Like you should, just because Matt, you can just see cool things that Matt writes all the time. Matt Falvia, and then also me. All of our writers.
I'm a cool writer.
Immediately, you just turn on your phone, you hit your Chrome, and then you're like, oh, look, Matt wrote about Marvel vs. Capcom. This is super interesting. You can have double Matt content. Why aren't you doing it?
You know what? I don't think I'd ever tell. I mean, I don't like marketing.
You know,
telling somebody to change their whole homepage?
Come on, dude. What are you going to think of homepages? I mean, unless you're using your homepage as Facebook or Google, which completely is cool. Like Google is my homepage.
Mine's YouTube.
Gamers, they might have IGN, maybe Kotaku. Mine used to be Kotaku. But the site is we have so much stuff. Well, you don't really need to go anywhere else. Why look? There's a review of the movie It. Who cares? That's all you need.
Can you give us a little teaser of your review, non-spoiler, of It?
Yeah, it's The Goonies plus Stranger Things, plus
really?
Man.
See, when you were
Killer
saying
Clowns from Outer Space.
Wow, when you were mentioning it, I thought you were just telling me movies that were good. I didn't know that it actually had that.
Okay, yeah, real briefly. So people, you see this trailer, and the trailer bills it as a scary, very, very scary movie, and Stephen King's It is a scary movie. It's well, if you're a horror fan, it's not going to be very scary for you. But the actual story of It, without spoiling anything, is more about coming of age. There's a reason the miniseries is split in between two parts of when they're kids and when they're adults, because the novel goes through them growing up. And that's the embodiment of the whole kids fighting this killer clown. So the best part about It, besides the CGI is a little shoddy at times, and sometimes the pacing's off.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because this movie went through production hell, and then they put out the trailer, and apparently everyone remembered that they really liked the 1990 miniseries, and I think it made $15.3 million on Thursday night alone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's projected to be
That's good for a low budget horror.
It's low budget. It's probably mid budget. This is still Frontline Cinemas. It is the highest grossing pre-box sell for any horror movie of all time. So that's a thing.
It's a very complicated stat.
Most pre-orders for a horror movie. There you go. If you're thinking in game wise. Okay. But yeah, a lot of people went in thinking it's gonna be crazy, super dumb, gory, and yeah, there's some gory parts, there's some bloody parts, but what sticks with you is what the original novel sticks with you. It's that whole like kids coming together, forming a group, and then fighting against something. You're rooting for them. It's like The Goonies. It's like Stranger Things. It's like any coming of age story where you're rooting for kids and the kids are actively portrayed realistically. You know, they say fuck because that's how kids talk.
Right.
It's an R-rated film, so yeah, don't go see it if you're under like, honestly, like 13 and under, probably not. I'm pretty cool on horror movies, but like some of that stuff might mess you up. So it is bloody, but yeah, it's a really good time. I drew more from the heart of the film than anything else. That's what I remember it about is how well it was written.
Well, there you go. Corey says, see ya. He says, enjoy Rick and Morty. And he also said, the whole YouTube channel is about your website. Why not self-advert? Touche, Corey Lavoie. Touche,
yeah, man.
Corey Lavoie.
You don't like to self-advertise yourself because you don't like to admit how awesome you are at everything. And that's what I'm here for. I'm like the Matt hype man. I'm like, yo, Matt, you're so good at this stuff. Keep it up.
Can't beat that. All right, we'll be back. We'll let you know. We'll be streaming again on Wednesday.
Yeah, what are you streaming right now, Matt? What are you streaming?
Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns.
How's Undertale going?
The Undertale, I got stuck on this one boss battle. The genocide run, they make a lot more difficult.
It's a tough run. It is a tough run from what I understand.
Yeah. Have you done it? Oh, yeah. From what you understand,
no,
I see.
Okay, no, I haven't. My little brother has done it like multiple times.
It's not. Oh, yeah. It's not as. I really don't find it as interesting doing the genocide run, and I'm sure the ending will be really interesting. Yeah. And there's some little cool moments where you go, "Oh, that's neat that they did that." But you know, because you're not going through this, you're not getting new story moments. And
you're just doing one thing,
and you actually have to grind. You have to wander around, waiting for monsters to come back and kill them and clear them off. Because you have to kill all the monsters in the area, so that part sucks.
But you're doing Final Fantasy? Are you done with?
Yeah, Lightning Returns is the Majora's Mask of Final Fantasy, because it's really strange because you have this gigantic big hub worlds, like several hub worlds that are really fun to explore. All these little PS2 looking character models doing PS2 character model thing. I was thinking about it today.
I can imagine it.
They look like characters from The Sims because they just kind of stand and they're like, I'm animated. I'm doing animated things. And this one doesn't have the budget of, like, Final Fantasy 13 had so much pre-rendered CGI.
Oh, yeah.
This one is all about real-time models. And that means that all the NPCs that are in the background, they're just hanging. So they're walking
stretching
around.
that engine. Stretching that engine.
Well, and they're also just getting right in the way of, like, big moments. And like, I'm an NPC.
Look at me.
I'm doing my 5 animations, and like there's so much sloppy crap going on, like diegetic music, or like the music that's in the game world sometimes will clash with the music of the soundtrack
that's
of the
just
game.
Shoddy design.
And then there's like a PA system going off like constantly. It's just, but when you kind of sweep away all that crap, it's actually a great combat system. Again, they evolved it one more time. It's very good, and It's pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable. I think if you play 13 and 13 too, you obviously have to play this one.
I still have to beat 13. I got like 7 hours in. But I saw my buddy play quite a bit of 13 too, in addition to watching you play some of it. So I'm excited.
Is awesome.
Yeah, it looks cool with all like the time mechanics and stuff like that.
It's just a killer story, actual good story.
I believe it. I sent you a link about Super Mario. I think you should stream that. I think we should do that together. That would be awesome.
Super Mario 64.
Yeah, Super Mario 64 Online. It's the K's guys, right? Am I saying that wrong? I'm sorry if you're not going to watch this. But these are the guys who did Super Mario Brothers 64 Final Impact, which was a full overhaul mod where it's like, 120 new stars. But yeah, Super Mario 64 Online, they just released it. I know we talked about in the Discord Super Mario Kart Online, but this one, it looks like you can play as Waluigi, Wario, Peach, like everybody, Yoshi. There's like up to 25 players at once, but I think it would be fun if you just want to like co-op Mario 64 because it's for PC. So,
wow, I want to try this Mario Impact one that has 120 new stars.
Final Impact. Yeah, no, it's a whole overhaul. It's just like brand new planets and stuff. I never got the chance to play it because it's just you hear Mario 64 complete overhaul mod, and you're like, I'll get around to that, and then you have like a brand new game that comes out, and so there's really no reason to go back. In our line of work, you kind of have to play what's new. You don't always have time to play what you want. So yeah, Final Impact though, same guys, it's like a mod team, but they did this Super Mario 64, which is the original game, but with all the added characters, and you can just go through and do it co-op.
Fantastic. Corey Lavoie says you should do it.
Yeah, dude, let's try it out. I think we're gonna have to test and see how it works because I haven't even started the program yet. But that could be something fun if it works and it's like not too laggy because it just came out. So I'm wondering, what they base the servers on. Your upload speed is like meh. So we'll see what happens, man. No worries, no issues.
It's improved now. Now I have 10.
Dude, hell yeah. See, you're improving. website's improving, the YouTube channel is improving. We love our community. We're gonna do so many fun things, guys, and it's not even the end of 2017 yet. It's crazy.
It just felt like not too long ago people were saying, wow, these games have come out already. 2017's so good. And I think, well, we are getting
2017's a crazy year. It's been a good year.
Good year for games. All right, we're out of here. We'll see you guys next time. See you Wednesday morning. Everybody have a good day. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. No problem, bud. Thanks for having me.
And
what's your Twitter?
It's GameThinkTalk. And yours?
At SuperGamecast64.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.